Ronnie Long spent 44 years in a North Carolina prison for a crime he did not commit. Released in August after a federal appeals court vacated his conviction, and the state finally dropped the case. He voted for the first time this year. His website is freeronnilong.org.
Thank you for tuning in to HB's Point of View. I got something I want to share with you people, and I hope this opens a few people's minds up. This is for educational purposes, because I heard that word systematic racism thrown around a lot, and some just don't get it. Some say it doesn't exist. Some people that are oppressed by racism throw that word around, not knowing what it means. So when somebody say explain, they really can't explain. What is systematic racism? Let's look up the definition. Okay, institutional racism, also known as systematic racism, is a form of racism that is embedded as normal practice within society or an organization. It can lead to such things as discrimination and criminal justice. Ooh, we're going to focus on that criminal justice. Employment, housing, healthcare, political power, and education, among other issues. Okay, so we got the definition. Now we're going to get to this story. And this man is a prime example of the definition. So let's get into this brother named Ronnie Long.
He had just come out of prison after spending 44 years behind bars for a crime he did not commit. He walked out of the Albemarle Correctional Institute, a free man, on August 27th.
I'm disappointed, really, in a system that's supposed to be, you understand, saying about right and wrong. I'm disappointed that you have people, you understand, saying that's in positions that don't want to do the right thing, but they'll do things, you understand, saying to try to mislead you. You live and die by what you do. You reap what you sow. You know what I'm saying? So I can always believe that, you understand, saying that no matter how difficult this thing has become, one day I will be standing where I'm standing right now. And I ain't never gave up that hope.
We talking 44 years. And that man came out and said he's let down. After 44 years, a lot of people will be ready to tear up the world. They'll be ready to go hate and hurt anything moving. Especially the people that put him in there for them 44 years. That's a kind soul. That's not animalistic. That says a lot about that man's character. How could this happen, you might ask? In order for us to understand this, we're going to have to travel back in time. This all started in 1976 when he was convicted of raping a 54-year-old wealthy white woman. In 2015, his lawyers learned investigators withheld evidence proving his innocence. We talking semen, fingerprints, all that. But he still remained in prison.
The evidence was either withheld from his attorneys or disappeared while in government hands while witnesses for the state committed perjury at his trial. It would take several more years and a ruling by the Fourth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals for Long to win his freedom. At a virtual hearing in May, Judge James Wynn asked, quote, "What is it about us that we want to prosecute and keep people in jail when we know evidence might exist that might lead to a different outcome? Why is that so offensive to us now that we want to protect illegal activity from 44 years ago? When did justice leave the process such that we let our rules blind us to the realities that we all can see?" the judge wrote. Ronnie Long's mother, Elizabeth, passed away just weeks before his release, which also came on the birthday of his wife, Ashley. She had not seen her husband since March, when Albemarle Prison was closed to visitors due to COVID-19. Ronnie Long was 20 years old when he was wrongfully convicted. He's now 65 and has finally been exonerated.
They took all of that man's wonder years, you hear me? From age 20 to 65. Man, they took more than his wonder years. They pretty much almost took his life. It's a blessing that he's even out. But long story short, because I'm really more concerned with just putting this story out here to y'all, and so people can, look at this. Imagine what that's like. You leave in 76, now you getting out in 2020 with all this technology. Just imagine.
How does it feel to be free?
I mean, when you're talking about coming out of restraints, and being restrained, and being able to get up and do what you want to do without somebody telling you what to do, experiencing life right now as it is, because I wasn't introduced to this world here. This world here is a little bit too fast for me. But I mean, you got people, you understand, saying they're trying to adapt. I mean, this is great for. I mean, it's a blessing within itself. I'm talking about miraculous blessing within itself for me to even be sitting here right now.
And what was it like to vote for the first time, Ronnie Long?
Well, you got a lot of blacks. You got a lot of blacks right now today, you understand, saying they don't even believe in that vote thing. Because number one, they feel as though, you understand, saying they're going to put who when they say they talking about, capitalists. The capitalists. They going to put who they want in there anyway. But this year here was the first time I ever voted, you understand? So I ain't never been that one that was tied up in a situation like that. I really put any emphasis on it. But as I become older, you understand? So like I said, I was locked up when I was 20 years old. So as I got older, when I got out, I felt as though, you understand, saying this system is in a serious need of reform. So I urge younger blacks, older black, people of color, all people to exercise that right that you have, you understand? So even though you may think your vote don't make a difference, somewhere down the line, you understand, so it might be the vote to make a difference.
So to sum this up, Ronnie just pretty much need a pardon from Governor Cooper, for him to get a pardon, which means get that taken off of his record, get him reimbursed, for spending 44 years in jail. I mean, like he said, man, he's coming from 76 and trying to live in 2020. They took his life. Check out what the governor says.
That petition from Mr. Long, which I think was received a week or so ago, will receive careful consideration by me and by my office. It is a significant power of the governor to be able to make decisions about what a judge and jury have done. And I take that power under the Constitution very seriously, but we'll review that application along with others.
That was North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. I want to read more from the concurring opinion by Judge James Wynn of the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, which ruled to send your case back, Ronnie Long, to the federal courts in North Carolina. Wynn is an African-American Obama appointee who also grew up in a small North Carolina town. The judge wrote, quote, "Officers hid evidence despite knowing that doing so could lead directly to Mr. Long's death. Such an action is repugnant in any context, but it takes on a particularly sinister meaning here, given our country's historical treatment of black men accused of raping white women." Ronnie Long, what are you demanding of Governor Cooper right now?
I mean, we're going to look at this thing realistically, right? My legal documents speak for themselves. The constitutional violations in this case speak for itself. I mean, you got people that have been victimized by the system, like myself, and then you turn around and you put me back into a society and expect for me to live a productive life. I'm saying to Roy Cooper, if there's any kind of compassion in your heart, man, you understand, saying you talk about you a religious person, you talk about, you understand, saying how you got to do the right thing. Right now, I'm struggling. I struggled 44 years to come from behind them fences, but come out here in the street and continue to struggle. What is it that I'm asking Roy Cooper for that he can only, I mean, he ain't got to do nothing but sign his name and pardon me and 3 other brothers, you understand, saying, who have been victimized by a corrupt judicial system here in the state of North Carolina. And these people ain't crazy. People are, I mean, when I say these people, I'm talking about these people that's in these authoritarian positions, you understand, saying that they don't want to do their job. Boy, Cooper need to pardon me and the mother brothers so we can get on with our life, or what little life we might have left.
If he were to grant you a pardon, that would allow you to receive a maximum of $750,000 in compensation for being unjustly imprisoned. $750,000. I just took out a calculator. So that is $17,000 a year for the 44 years you were wrongly imprisoned. You haven't even gotten that. Are you suing the state?
I mean, this is something that's being litigated right now, right? It's a subject that's being litigated right now. Like I say, I got a defense team. I got a team, you understand, saying that's more or less gonna go to work on this. Because, I mean, let's be realistic about this whole thing now. This is why I put all my legal documents online. You ain't got to believe what I say. You ain't got to accept what I say. I tell you to go to freerunalone.org. This is where I put my documents online, because I want people to be able to go to my web address and look at my documents and see what the state of North Carolina, you understand, is doing, they've done to me. And not only me, it didn't stop with me. They're still doing it. I'm going to show you something. In my case, the chief of police went to the county commissioner's office, got the master lists of all prospective jurors that I was supposed to pick me a panel from, and started deleting names off the master list. He put in that pool, that jury pool that I picked my panel from, he picked who he wanted to go in there. But I didn't find out about this 30 years later. My thing is this, I mean, if anybody, like Roy Cooper, has some kind of compassion in his heart, you understand, saying, to be able to see through things and do what's right for the people. I need that pardon in order to try to get on with my life.
You were there during the COVID-19 lockdown, the dangers for you in prison. I mean, you're in your 44th year. You were in prison, packed into this prison with others, the outbreak of COVID-19. What was it like inside?
Well, like a can of sardines. You got people, you understand, saying, just laying around on top of each other. Pretty soon, I mean, sure indeed, they come in, they take your temperature, they'll give you a mask and tell you to wear that. But the social distancing is not there. It's not there. They cannot distance them prisoners from each other without reducing the prison population.
Your mom died in the last weeks that you were in prison. First of all, our condolences on the loss of your mother. What did that mean to you weeks before you got out?
Mom and my dad have always supported me. When But I knew all before all-white jury in front of a white judge for sexually assaulting a white woman. Me and my family knew that I was on my way to the penitentiary. How you gonna send a tainted jury pool down there for me to pick a pound from? I ended up with 12 whites in there for sexually assaulting a pillar, a wealthy white female in front of a white judge, white DA, and 12 white jurors. Me and my family knew that I was on my way to the penitentiary. The only thing we can do is try to outlast this storm that I was going through. I used to talk to my mother every day on the phone. You understand? So I talk to her every day on the phone because after I lost my father, I was more or less like trying to fill that empty void that was in my mother's life because they had been together for over 50-something years. My mama used to always tell me she was going to be there when I get out. I'm going to be right here when you get out. Those 15, 20 minutes that those lying-ass Concord Police Department came down to my house and told my mama we're going to take me no more than 15 to 20 minutes, that I would be back within that time, that I didn't need anybody want me. Those 15, 20 minutes turned into 44 years.
Well, I think y'all know my point of view on this. I think that's lousy. I think it's dirty. I think it's a disgrace. I think it's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't trust the damn system. I believe it was systematic racism that played a part in that. They had evidence saying that that man was not guilty. They had things that showed that he was not the guy. He still ended up in prison because they got to get somebody. They had to get somebody. And he ended up doing 44 years. So my point of view on that is, it's sad. It's a dang shame. Y'all have a blessed evening. Keep it moving. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the video. And do what you do. Hit them buttons. Till next time.